Hey everyone, and welcome back to the ATD Movie Channel. I'm Tony, and today I'll be reviewing Tomb Raider, the reboot of the video game classic starring Alicia Vikander. Let's jump right into it. So for this review, I'm going to try to stay on topic in regards to the film and not dive too deep into the video games. Of course, Tomb Raider is an adaptation of the long-standing franchise that started way back when on the PlayStation 1 and has evolved all the way through to today's modern consoles. But again, for today's video, I really want to stick to the movie because it has to stand alone. Just like a book adaptation or a film adaptation from a play, it has to stand on its own 2 feet, regardless of the source material. That being said, there's some things I really liked about this movie and a lot of things I didn't enjoy about this movie. I'll start with what I liked about the film. The first thing is Alicia Vikander as the titular character of Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider. Vikander really commits to this role, and it would have been easy for her to just dive into video game territory or like comic book character tropes, but for the most part, she really dedicates a lot of heart and soul into this character. Now, for those of you who don't know or you haven't played the game, Lara Croft grows up without her father. It's showcased in the trailer, and it shows sort of her transformation from a lost child to a dedicated heir to her father's legacy. And Vikander is just fantastic in the movie, both a physical and emotional presence that I really didn't expect out of a video game movie. Now, she's an Academy Award-winning actress. She's fully capable. Just like Angelina Jolie was an Oscar-winning actress in the previous franchise of films. But Vikander just brings an intangible innocence to a much younger version of the character that we've never seen in the movies before. I really enjoyed what she did with this movie, and she may be one of the only reasons that people go see this film, because she's great. And while talking about Vikander's take on the character, you can't help but talk about the character's turn. I'm not going to spoil anything in this review, but the character does have an arc that is worth bragging about in this review, and it's fantastic. It's a well-written part of an otherwise poorly written film. Vikander's character of Lara Croft experiences a lot of physical challenges throughout this movie, but we watch her character elevate one notch after another after going through all these different things. And there's a specific moment in the film that is pulled right out of the video games, and it's when Lara Croft really becomes the character or the action hero that we know her to be. And Vikander just delivers. I don't want to dive too much more into detail so I don't spoil anything, but if you've seen the movie, let me know in the comments below if you know what I'm talking about. It's a really important scene, both in the video games and in this film here today. Another couple of aspects of the movie I liked were the spectacle. And what do I mean by that? It's both the special effects, the computer-generated effects, but the score as well. And I'll dive deeper into each. The visual effects, for the most part, are really good. There's a couple of scenes I want to highlight in particular. There's one scene on the boat that's highlighted in the trailer where they head into a storm and the boat is capsized and essentially demolished. And the visual effects are really good. The entire event takes place at night, but we don't ever lose track of our characters. We don't ever lose track of what's going on. The action is pretty clean, and that goes into more other aspects of filmmaking like editing and pacing and things like that, cinematography. But I'm encapsulating all of that under the broad umbrella of special effects. It's a really great scene. Another special effects scene that I enjoyed was where Lara Croft is running through the jungle. I won't tell you what she's doing because it's a big part of the plot, but essentially a camera starts from high above on visual effects, and then it seamlessly connects to a practical effect of a camera running behind Alicia Vikander as she's running through this jungle. And I think that those are a couple of different examples of where the special effects really worked to heighten the intensity of the action and contribute to the story. I say that a lot on this channel. I hate when the special effects overwhelm the story or take over for the story. When I get into the dislikes, I'm going to contradict that statement, but for the most part, the special effects in this movie are excellent. And then I mentioned the score as well. The score is fantastic. From what I remember, I'd have to watch the movie again, but from what I remember, it's wall-to-wall music, And it works. I think it works in the action sequences in the jungle. I think it works in the softer flashback moments between Lara and her father. And again, I think it was a nice balance between the two modern day and flashbacks with her dad. And I started off the video by telling you I didn't want to focus too much on the games, and I still don't want to, but a like of mine in regards to this film are some of the connections to the games. You don't have to have played the games to follow along this movie, but it sure does add a few winks and Easter eggs along the way. There's certain weapons, there's certain action sequences that are pulled right out of the 2013 reboot of the video game. And it was fun because I've played both the 2013 and its sequel, and it was kind of fun to see a couple of parallel storylines, couple of characters that are in both. It's not a direct translation, not by any means, but the essence of the video game is certainly in this movie. And there was a couple of characters where I knew what was coming before, a film audience that had never played the games knew what was coming. So kudos to the filmmakers for finding little tips and techniques to incorporate the game into the movie. Okay, so far this review has been pretty positive. Now I'm going to dive into what I didn't like about the film, and primarily its story. It's a mess. And if a movie doesn't have a good story, then really everything else has to work that much better to make up for it. The movie is a bit incoherent, and it feels like the entire first act helps tell us who the character is, which is important, and that's critical to a film's dynamic. But then the second and the third act just give up on character development and go balls to the walls action. And again, it hurts the story. I mentioned earlier that the special effects contributed to the story, and they do, but by the third act, we're exhausted. Like, how many, pits does she have to jump over? How many bridges are going to fail? How many near-death experiences is Lara going to have in a 2-hour film? It just becomes a little bit redundant and a bit boring, to be honest with you. I think it loses its intensity, and there's not much at stake because we know she's going to make it through whatever she's going through by the third act. So I think the story doesn't work, and I think there's just simply too much action in this for a character that we're just being reintroduced to. Another thing I didn't like about the film was we have great supporting actors, but they don't really have much to do in this film. Dominic West plays Lara Croft's father, and he's a great actor, and there was some really great potential for using Dominic West in this movie, and he's just completely underutilized, and I feel like he just became such a side character, and it's too bad because the father, the character of Dominic West, is such an integral part of who Lara Croft is and who she becomes that we really should have used him. They should have used him differently in this film. And the villain is played by Walter Goggins, or Goggins. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it, but he plays an evil character who, I'll be honest, I played the games, and I've played the games multiple times. I watched the movie no more than an hour ago, and I still can't remember what his motivations are. It's not like a, take over the world kind of scheme. It's not a seeking fortune kind of scheme. I don't even remember, and I just left the theater. And Goggins, or Goggins, is a fantastic actor. I watch him on HBO's Vice Principals. That show is great, and he's great in it. He's good in this movie for where, he's charismatic, and we want to see him more on screen. But he's barely in the movie. And not only is he barely in the movie, the character just does some ridiculous things when he's on screen with Lara Croft that you're scratching your head going, come on, he's smarter than this, And so it was difficult for me to suspend my disbelief when the writers had this particular character doing the things that he was doing. Sorry, I'm not diving deeper into detail because I really try not to spoil plot in this film, in this review, but overall, I think he was really underutilized. A standout supporting actor in this movie is Daniel Wu, and I really, really liked what they were doing with the character, and he's with Lara Croft on the boat heading towards this adventure, and then he kind of just disappears for the second half of the film. And what a shame, because not only is Daniel Wu great in the movie, but the character and the character dynamic between him and Lara Croft are really kind of intriguing, but then he just goes away. And, you know, there's a lot of movies that do this where we meet an interesting character and then they just vanish for the second half of the film. And it's just such a shame. There was really something special between the two characters there that they should have developed or dove deeper into, but ultimately they didn't. So in conclusion, this movie is not going to break the trend of poor video game adaptations. It's just not. It's an okay movie. I'd have a hard time recommending it to people. I think Alicia Vikander is fantastic, and I sincerely hope she continues this franchise, and maybe it'll get better with the next one, but this movie is just okay at best. Director Roar Utog, I think, tried his best and didn't deliver the film that I was hoping for, but we'll see if there's a sequel in the future. So, have you seen Tomb Raider? Have you played any of the video games before? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to be notified of content uploaded regularly. You can find other movie reviews on the channel as well. Thanks for watching my review of Tomb Raider. I'll talk to you soon.